Margot Robbie is without a doubt the best actress they could have gotten to bring Harley Quinn to life. But it seems that after playing this character for so many years, the famous actress wants to take a break from the character. And this is because many strict rules are needed for this specific character. And in case someday in their lives they want to play Harley Quinn, here are all the rules she had to follow for Suicide Squad 2. Stronger than usual. Indeed, one of the scenes we can remember most from this new movie is Harley Quinn's escape, when they have her trapped and are torturing her. They ask the god what he's doing, and he responds with emojis, implying that he's electrocuting a girl in a red suit. Then, Harley gets up to catch him with her legs and starts to strangle him until the guard dies. Afterwards, she agilely grabs the key with her feet and with her own strength lifts her body, reaches the chain and inserts the key to free herself. Well, many people initially thought that it wasn't Margot Robbie, but rather a stunt double. But as mentioned by director James Gunn, in the shot, she appears with her face covered by her hair, which would seem to be a double. But in reality, the person who did all this acrobatics was indeed Margot Robbie. Something that is very impressive, because to be able to do this, a lot of arm and abdominal strength is needed. And apart from the strenuous physical conditioning she needed for her character, she had to continue practicing her acrobatics, as we saw her after she broke free from the chains. Once again, a stunt double was not used for most of Harley Quinn's scenes. Not for the fight scenes, not for the jumps and flips she did, not even for the most extreme scenes. Because, as we'll see in the next rule, she was the key to making this movie a reality. Forced to be in the movie after Birds of Prey, she had planned to take some time off from playing the character, given everything that goes into making it a reality. But, as director James Gunn said in an interview, Detective Comics really wanted Margot Robbie to be Harley Quinn. If she hadn't appeared, they wouldn't have been able to greenlight the Suicide Squad 2 project. This put a lot of pressure on her, as if she didn't agree to play this character, the movie wouldn't become a reality. And now she would be seen as a villain by the Suicide Squad fans. And if you've seen some of the other videos about the strict rules Margot Robbie followed for her role as Harley Quinn, you can get an idea of why. Does she now want to take a break from the character? And besides, she had to be portraying Harley Quinn for several consecutive years. Because of this, she has now previously announced that she is looking to take a break from Harley Quinn and will likely leave this character for a few years going forward. The psychological problems. One of the secrets that Margot Robbie has to be able to play Harley Quinn so well is that she is constantly reminding herself of key things about the character, like the trauma she had, where she comes from, what her pain is, and what she is trying to do at the moment. She mentioned that in the first films, everything was easier to control, as there were not so many things involved in her story. As shown in our video of unseen moments from Suicide Squad 2, throughout the movie, there are many small details of her hatred towards the Joker. And it's not just things that changed, like her tattoos, jacket, or the references she makes, but all this resentment she has to deal with other characters. Like she did with the president of Corto Maltese, Silvio Luna. Whom she killed because he showed red flags of being toxic. All these things she had to be constantly remembering, Margot Robbie on and off the set. But she wasn't the only one who was playing her character everywhere. But she is definitely the one who had the most things to remember. And this can be devastating with some characters, like what happened with Bill Skarsgård, who almost went mad because of his character Pennywise. Last-minute confessions. A somewhat funny and interesting rule she set for herself had to do with a confession to her movie co-star John Cena. Because if you didn't know, there were a few years when she slept with John Cena. But not in the way you're thinking, perverts. On Jimmy Kimmel's show, she admitted to being a former World Wrestling Entertainment fanatic. But as she grew up, she had an ex-boyfriend who was completely fascinated with John Cena. This obsession passed on to her, and therefore she got all the merchandise she could get from John Cena, including a cardboard figure. She slept with this figure for 3 years and didn't know whether to tell John Cena when she was working with him on set. After this confession that happened on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, John Cena took this with some humor and they continue to be good colleagues. Research, practice, and more practice. In the Birds of Prey movie, Margot Robbie had quite a bit of control over what could happen with her character, since she was one of the directors for this movie. But just like the first Suicide Squad movie, she didn't have much freedom over what she could do now. But still, she was given the task to investigate what people love about the character of Harley Quinn. She started to investigate very thoroughly in forums, social networks, and fan chats to get an idea of what needed to be emphasized in her character. The things that came up most in the surveys were her expressions, her innocence, her madness, and voice. She said that the hardest part of all this was perfecting the voice, since she had to watch and listen to several scenes of Harley Quinn in the Batman animated series to familiarize herself with this delirious tone. But in addition, she added a plus by also drawing inspiration from Karen Heels' voice in her performance in the movie Goodfellas. The very pale makeup. To be able to portray a character as pale as Harley Quinn, it requires a routine with a long process to achieve that whiteness. Robbie herself does not have such pale skin. So in order to achieve that result, she had to prepare her skin by whitening it with full body makeup. Every day. A process that was quite lengthy, as this is added to the fact that Harley has several tattoos, 20 in total. So the challenge for the makeup artists in each recording was to put each of those tattoos back in the right places so they could match the scenes. All of this could take up to 3.5 hours. But the bleaching routine was not one of the only processes Robbie went through to make an authentic Harley Quinn. Marvel vs. Detective Comics. For the role of Harley Quinn, there are quite a few specific rules, but she also had to follow one of the general rules of the Detective Comics universe. And the most notable rule, without a doubt, was to have nothing to do with the Marvel Universe. Director James Gunn has expressed interest in a crossover between Groot and Harley Quinn in an interview. Is this rule still in place? And in this new movie, there were many influences from the Marvel Universe. As we saw, we had the appearance of the person who played Rocket Raccoon, Sean Paul. Palm Clemente, better known in the Marvel world as Mantis, Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, and Lloyd Kaufman, who appeared as a prisoner in Guardians of the Galaxy. So with this rule may be followed less and less by the cast. But for now, and for his legal safety, Robbie should not appear in any Marvel movie or project.